Good afternoon to madam.
Okay, thank you. I want just to start. I normally have 5 minutes to let people join, and especially when it is online. And I'm hoping that the class rep was able to share some notes that I gave on classification of costs. Okay. How many classes do we have online? Because we had said Thursday, then Monday. Which is which? Is it Wednesday?
We have 2 classes, I think, because we have for today and then on Thursday there's another one.
Thursday and Wednesday. Which one is? I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see which one will utilize, and that the other one will be used for assignments and group work. So last time we started on the introduction of the units, and tomorrow for the physical class, I'll give the course outline, which will guide us on a number of areas that we need to focus on. And I may not be following fully what is on the course outline, but for the classification, that is a unit on its own. So just read the various classification of costs and why they are classified the way they are classified. Because from there, we look at the basic cost estimation and forecasting methods, which will help us have maybe one of the group assignments. And I want to imagine maybe in the course of this week, if you'll manage that other class, because today I just want us to look at various aspects of costing and financial accounting, and especially when it comes to differentiations of the two, and also costing and management accounting. And maybe before that, did we do the limitations? I think I told you to read about the limitations of the costing. What was the last subtopic that you did? Other than what I sent, what is the other? What is the last subheading?
The scope of cost accounting.
Okay. So did we touch on the importance of cost accounting? Classification of cost is that one is something that is aside, because I was having another class. Did we touch on the importance of cost accounting?
Yes.
All right. So let us what about the limitation of cost accounting?
You told us to go and check on it.
Okay, did you do that? So look at the limitations of cost accounting. Various limitations. Of course, one of the major one is that it is costly, and also we know that it also involves a lot of paperwork in form, and there are so many forms that are used, the statements that are involved, etc. And again, we know that cost accounting cannot be applied by all industries. There are some industries that cannot apply cost accounting. And again, as we are going to find out as we progress with this unit, is that it is based on estimations. Various estimations are made when you're looking at the cost, and especially when you're doing the standard costing and when you're doing the budgetary or the budget and the budgetary control, we do a lot of estimates. And of course, when you're doing estimates, you normally have to deal with errors, the variations, the differences. All right. So I want us to touch on the installation and the operation of, but before that, I want us to look at the differences between the cost accounting and financial accounting. What are the major differences between those two? What do you think are the major differences between cost accounting? Even if you just done the introduction and the financial accounting that you did, what do you think would be some of the key differences between those two concepts? Both of them are accounting, but there are some differences. Do you think they are the same? You know, when you keep quiet, you make us waste a lot of time. And just from maybe what you've already defined and what you know about financial accounting, one thing that I want us to... Yes, somebody is talking. Yes, I've seen a hand up, then it is withdrawn.
Financial,
Mm-hmm.
I can say these are real transactions being recorded. But at cost accounting, like just having estimates.
Yeah, they have estimates, although it is part of it. Although we later would record the real. That is why we have to calculate the variances. That is good. Somebody else? So kindly, if you're not talking, mute to avoid a lot of echo. So remember what I said about the cost accounting. It will look at the future, and for the That is the cost accounting, but for the financial accounting, it is historical. That's something that I want to imagine that you gathered from the previous accounting units. Financial accounting, we look at the historical data to come up with the statements, that is, and also the reports. And again, for the cost accounting, we know that, of course, we'll use the data, but mostly to project. And one of the key, remember we said, although some of you have not, I'm sure some of you have not done that assignment of some of the limitations of cost accounting, is that not all industries can use the same. Why? Because it is not it is not a statutory requirement for the companies to do cost accounting statements. But if a certain company feel that there is that need to supplement the financial accounting, then they can go ahead and supplement financial accounting information with the cost accounting information. So let us try and differentiate between those parts, those two concepts of accounting, and we will start with cost accounting vis-a-vis financial accounting. Cost accounting vis-a-vis financial accounting. And maybe before we draw the table, we can just have a general introduction and say that financial accounting is concerned with recording, classifying, and summarizing financial transactions. Financial accounting is concerned with recording, classifying, and summarizing financial transactions pertaining to an accounting period. Remember, that is very key. We only report to a certain period. So I've just said financial accounting is concerned with recording, classifying, and summarizing financial transactions pertaining to an accounting period. The basic objective is to provide the basic objective is to provide commentary information to the shareholders, commentary information to the shareholders and other outside stakeholders on the financial status of an enterprise in form of income statement, statement of financial position, statement of change of equity, etc. And we can say that for the income statement and statement of financial position, are prepared observing the statutory requirement. They are prepared. Observing the statutory requirement of the Companies Act, and other international standards and policies. On the other hand, we can say that cost accounting aims at providing prompt cost data. They aim at providing prompt data for managerial planning, controlling, and decision making. So basically, that is what I can say about the introduction. For the cost accounting, you're saying the information that is normally provided, it's that kind of prompt cost data, and in most cases we give this data if and when needed by the management for various reasons, which ranges from planning, the issues to do with controlling, that is the issue of the controlling the cost, making decisions, etc. But for the financial accounting, in most cases, we prepare it just once or even, or sometimes twice, but in most cases, it is from the policy. A part of it is normally on yearly basis, but if there is any need for us to prepare in between the year, then they are prepared. And mostly when there is what we can call special annual general meeting. So what I want us to do is to have to draw the distinction between those two concepts. That is the financial accounting and the cost accounting. And what maybe I want us to do, we can have a table. We can have a table presentation where we have 3 columns. The first one may be a bit small, just maybe an inch or 2 inches. Yeah, 2 inches would do. Then the other 2, that is the financial accounting and cost accounting, you can divide the rest of your page into 2. So we have those 3 columns. So I repeat, we have the first column, which is, we are looking at either the area or the basic or the basis of distinction. Then the second column, we have financial accounting. The third column, we may have the cost accounting. So the first area is the statutory requirement. So for the statutory requirement, remember what we've just said in our introduction. So remember, you're starting with financial accounting now, so that you don't get confused. For the financial accounting, we can say that these accounts have to be prepared. They have to be prepared according to the legal requirements of Companies Act and Income Tax Act. Company Act and also in Income Tax Act. Okay. Then for the cost accounting, we can say that maintenance of these accounts is voluntary. It is voluntary, except in certain industries. Where it has to be prepared, according to the Companies Act, in bracket, relating to that industry. So you can just write that, relating to the industry. So in other words, we are saying that for the financial accounting, it is mandatory, but for the cost accounting, it is voluntary, unless you are within the industry that you must prepare those statements. Then we look at the other area of differentiating the two, and we look at the purpose. And for the purpose, we can say that the main purpose of financial accounting, the main purpose of preparing financial accounting is to prepare the statements, that is, the income statement and statement of financial position for reporting to owners, and outside agents, that is the external users. Then when it comes to the cost accounting on the same area, we can say that the main purpose is to provide detailed cost information. It is to provide detailed cost information to management, providing a detailed cost information to management. That is for internal users. Then the other area that I want us to look at is the issue of analysis of costs and profits. How do you differentiate the two? For the financial accounting reviews the profit and loss. They review the profit and loss of the business as a whole. They review the profit and stroke all loss for the business, for the business as a whole during a particular period. it does not show the figures of cost and profit. It does not show the figures of cost and profit for individual products, departments, processes, etc. I'll take that again. We are saying that for the financial accounting, the review profit and stroke or loss of the business as a whole during a particular period, comma, full stop, it does not show the figures of cost and profit for individual products, departments, and processes. So before I explain that, let us look at the cost accounting. So for the cost accounting, they show the detailed cost and profit data, shows the detailed cost and profit data for each product line, department, process, etc. So what normally happens is that for the financial accounting, we put the whole business and clump it together and aggregate. So it becomes very hard for even those businesses that are doing very poorly to be very well to be recognized, and those that do very poorly, they hide with those that are doing very well, such that you may have a situation where there is one that is making the profit and continuously make profits, but there is another one which continuously make losses, but they are surviving because of those that do very well. But when it comes to the cost accounting, we can single out a certain product and look at the kind of products, the cost of production, etc., and come up with the cost of a single product. This way, we'll be able now to single out those areas that are not doing very well, and if need be, and especially if there is that continuity of loss making, you can make decision to either close it up or merge it with something else, etc. So that is why sometimes we supplement the financial accounting with we supplement the cost accounting with financial accounting, because we are able now to see those lines of products that are not doing very well, or the departments that are failing the organization, and we can either reprimand in quotes, not that you are going to beat them, but of course you give them targets, and also try to motivate others who are doing very well. Okay, that is another area of differences. The other one, we can talk of periodicity, or from the word period, the periodicity of reporting. The periodicity of reporting. So for the financial accounting, we can say that income statement and the statement of financial position, income statement and statement of financial position are prepared periodically. They are prepared periodically, usually on an annual basis. They are prepared periodically, usually on an annual basis, and this is what we normally call accounting period. So what about the cost accounting? So cost accounting, the cost reporting is a continuous process. So for the cost accounting, we are saying that the cost reports or reporting is a continuous process and may be daily, weekly, monthly, etc. So this one now depends on the need. It normally depends on the need. When there is need for us to have any information, we can always request that we get those reports. So that is the issue of periodicity. How often do we report? For the financial accounting, in most cases, it's just once in accounting period, and it is normally on annual basis. But for the cost accounting, so we are saying this one is as the need arises. It can be weekly, can be daily, etc. Okay, the other concept that I want us to use as a basis of differentiation is the control aspect. The control aspect. So when you look at the control aspect, remember we are starting with financial accounting. We can say that it keeps records of financial transactions. It keeps records of financial transactions and does not attach any importance to control aspect. Does not attach any importance to control aspect. Then when you look at the cost accounting, we can say that it provides for a detailed system of control. It provides detailed system of control with the help of certain special techniques. Such as standard costing and budgetary control. So remember we said one of the functions of cost accounting is what we are calling or objective is the control of costs. And for the control aspects, I'm sure when you looked at the BC 100, there was no control aspect. But when it comes to the costing, there are systems that are made to help the management track the cost, see the kind of maybe the type of cost that they are dealing with, and whether those costs can be controlled, can be maneuvered, etc. Right. The other aspect that I would want us to consider is the issue of nature. And for the nature, on financial accounting, we can say that it is concerned with historical records. And of course, we know these historical records that are normally prepared. And for the cost accounting, we can say that the cost accounting starts with historical records. They start with historical records and extend to plan and extend it to plan for the future and extend to plan for the future. And this is done through budgetary plans, policies. It is done through budgetary plans, policies, etc., to improve performance in the future. So in other words, what you're saying is that financial accounting is historical in nature, and we look at what actually happened, and we prepare those records based on the historical aspect of the farm or the industry, and we add there. We wait for another cycle to come, we record, then we prepare the final statements. But for the cost accounting, and especially when they're starting, we start from what happened. Then, of course, we project, and that is where we come up with budgets, because the budgets can be what we call the zero budget or additional budgets. So we extend that, and we use some techniques like the budgets and the budgetary policies to improve the future. Okay. Then another thing that we can see, I don't think I'll give all the whatever the differences. There are quite a number. We can look at the classification of records, the classification of records purpose, and for the classification of the record purpose, we can see that for the financial accounting, they classifies records and analyze transactions in a subjective manner. Yeah, for the financial accounting, we are saying that they classify records and analyze transactions in a subjective manner. And for the subjective manner, if you can recall your accounting, this is according to the nature of expenditure. According to the nature of expenditure. So when we look at the cost accounting, we can see that for the cost accounting, the records and classify expenditure. They record and classify expenditure according to the purpose for which the cost is incurred. So in other words, you can see they are a bit objective because they look at the purpose of which the cost is incurred, and that is how they record. They classify and also record the transactions. So, of course, there are so many other areas that you can think of, like the kind of standards that are required for the cost financial accounting. They are normally prepared as per the international standards, that is international financial standards and the gaps. Well, the cost accounting, this one will depend on the industry, but in most cases, as per the CIMA, that is CIMA. We also know that financial accounting, it's normally conventional, and they follow things as they should, as written. But we look at the cost accounting and we see that it is very dynamic. They keep changing and they fit the industry. They are usually prepared as per the industry. And also, even when we are doing the marking of cost accounting and financial accounting, it is also very different, because there is not one fit all ways of doing something. But when it comes to financial accounting, I'm sure you realize that there was a lot of strictness in as far as how things should be recorded and reported. So that is why we say for the financial account is a bit conventional, but when it comes to cost accounting, it is a bit dynamic, keep changing as the industry changes. So, of course, there's more of that, and you can always add more. What I want us to do very briefly is also this part of our cost outline, is to look at these two areas, that is the cost accounting and management accounting. Sometimes they are used interchangeably, but as you're going to find out, I know you do management courses. The management accounting is the cost accounting with management aspect of it, but both of them, they are for internal purposes. So the other subtopic that I want us to consider before the hour ends is the cost accounting vis-a-vis management accounting. And maybe to start with, we can say that cost accounting and management accounting are both internal to the organization. And that is why I'm saying even most of the books that you're going to find, they normally put those two together. Saying cost accounting and management accounting are both internal to an organization. And we can also say that both have more or less the same objective. Both have more or less the same objective: to assist management in planning, control, decision making, etc. So both have more or less the same objective of assisting management in the planning, control, decision making, etc. So sometimes it becomes very hard to distinguish these two, but of course there are people who try to see the differences between these two, and maybe just to have just a clear, just a very broad picture of what management accounting is. I think I can say that for the management accounting is more broad than just the cost accounting, because it includes both financial and the cost accounting and management aspect of it. So we have In fact, we also have financial aspect in management accounting because of the issue of investment. So for now, I may not just dwell so much on defining what management accounting is, but maybe later as we go along. But how do we distinguish the two? Just very briefly. So just as we did the other one, we have the point or the area of the distinction. Then we have the costing, the cost accounting, and the management accounting. Just a few areas of distinction. Not dwell so much on this because it is not our focus. So the first area is on, maybe we look at the coverage. The area of distinction is the coverage. So for the coverage, for the cost accounting, sorry, we are starting with the cost accounting, we can say that it deals with ascertainment, allocation, distribution, and accounting aspects of cost. I'll repeat, we are saying that it deals with ascertainment, allocation, distribution, and accounting aspect of costs. When it comes to the management accounting, we can say that it is concerned with impact and effect aspect of costs. The impact and effect aspect of costs. Then we can look at the approach. The approach, that is another area of distinction. So for the approach, we can say that for the cost accounting, it is narrow as the focus is primarily on cost data or data. The approach for the cost accounting is narrow as the focus is primarily on cost data. Then when you look at the management accounting, we can say that it is wider. It is wider as one may have to use certain economic and statistical data. It is wider as one may have to use certain economic and statistical data along with costing data to assist managerial decision making. So for the cost accounting, we are saying it is a bit narrow, but for the management accounting, we are saying it is a bit wider. And the reason why we look at it in that aspect is because, one, you don't just use the costing data, but you need sometimes to incorporate a certain economic and statistical data along with now what we are calling the costing data to assist managerial decision making. And remember, we said even when you look at the hierarchy, for the cost accounting, it is normally for the lower cadre of management, but for the management accounting, it's normally for the higher level of management. And they do not just take the cost data as corrected and allocated to certain processes or products, but they just also want to look at the economy. That is, they try to look at some statistical tools to analyze and also look at the economic variables that could affect the costs in one way or another. And that is why we talked of the impact and the effect of the cost. So the other aspect that I would wish to look at is the issue of emphasis. The emphasis. So for the emphasis of the cost accounting, we can say that it lays emphasis on costs ascertainment and cost control. So when you look at the CA, that is the cost accounting, the emphasis is on what we are calling cost ascertainment and cost control. But when you look at the management accounting, it is used as a decision-making technique. So for the management accounting, we look at it as a decision-making technique. That is why it is normally used by the top managers to make decision. Then maybe the scope as the area of emphasis. For the emphasis, we can say the scope. We can say that it is limited for the cost accounting. It is limited to important techniques. It is limited to important techniques such as variable costing, break-even analysis, and standard costing. So you're saying it is limited to some important techniques such as variable costing, break-even analysis, and standard costing. So, although they are not very pointing. We can say that it make use of other techniques. Such as ratio analysis, cash flow analysis, in addition to what we had talked about, in addition to variable costing, break-even analysis, etc. maybe the final one, I can talk of the focus, the issue of focus. For the cost accounting, it focuses on short-term planning. It is normally focused on short-term planning. And of course, if it is on short-term planning, then we say that sophisticated tools are not employed for forecasting purposes. But on the other hand, it focuses on both short-term and long-term planning. We have both short-term and long-term planning, and use sophisticated technique. And they use sophisticated techniques in the planning and control. So among others, there are quite a number, but maybe we could just have it up to that point. Then you could add more when you're doing your reading. I think that is all that I had today. If you have a question, God willing, we'll meet tomorrow morning.